Alright, so welcome. We're filming something and we just thought we'd invite, whoever wanted to show up within an hour's notice. But we're going to do a flow, about 60 minutes, probably a little less because we don't have that much time really. You'll notice there's a blanket just about the middle of his mat, so that if he taps his knees down, it's there for his knees, but it's not in the way of, let's say, a down dog. So it's not at the very back and it's not near your hands. And then you'll start seated, and if you want a block or something under your hips, you can put a block under your hips. You can actually face the front of your mat. And if you can, sit in folded shin, so Virasana, if that's okay for your knees. Do you want a block?
No.
Okay. So you might want something under your hips between your heels to find a little bit of a more comfortable seat. But if you're okay like that, we won't be here for too long. Start by taking your hands to hold your rib cage. So you'll have your fingers on the front of your ribs and the thumbs on the back. If it's okay to close your eyes, close your eyes. And start to feel the breath moving more completely empty and feel your rib cage shrinking slightly. And then slow your breath in, let it be steady. Get to the very top of the inhale. Briefly maybe pause and then use your exhale and go toward the end of the breath out. Do this a couple times. Feel the ribs expand completely, and then narrow and soften, hug the center. Try to stay with a comfortable pace for you. Doesn't have to be exactly in line with my cueing or with his movement, but stick with a comfortable pace and keep working to go more steadily with that pace. Now take your arms to cactus. Spread the elbows really wide, spread the fingers really well, and then start to rotate the shoulders slightly. So he's going to take his wrists back a little bit, and the elbows will scoop a little bit forward. It'll end up a bit like a cow spine. So you can even kind of tip your pelvis. You'll notice he's tipped his pelvis forward, and he's created a bit more arch in the lumbar spine. Take another breath like that. And then you're going to bring the forearms to touch right in front of the face. Palms will touch, elbows maybe, maybe don't, but squeeze in. Shoulder blades are now completely the opposite way, rounded, chin tucks. You can even tuck your tailbone a little bit. And then you're going to interlace all the fingers, make a single fist out of both hands, and then lift your arms up, straighten your elbows. Close your palms tightly, pull the front ribs back a little bit, and then side bend to the right. So your tight fist goes sideways, really tighten the fingertips, and just try to straighten the elbows. And then slightly take the knuckles forward and turn your chest a little down, so that you're still side bending, but you're round. Feel the back of the left ribs open, and the left seat heavy. Take another cycle of breath like this. Knuckles to the right. As you breathe in, come up through vertical. Release to cactus as you exhale. Tilt the elbows forward, make it a back bend, breathe in completely. And then palms together, elbows maybe, maybe don't touch. Interlace the fingers other way, straighten your elbows and go up. And then your side bend left. Stay for a moment, close the palms, lift the shoulders, and then slightly round. So chest turns a little down, knuckles go more to the diagonal. Feel your back right rib cage really open. Keep your right seat heavy. As you breathe in, come back up through vertical. And then take cactus arms again. Circle the hands the rest of the way behind the back this time. Interlace your fingers around your lumbar spine. Close your palms as tight as you can. Send the knuckles down. Pull the chest forward. You might even touch your knuckles to the floor. If you don't have a block underneath of you, more likely that'll happen. And then you might look up more, extend the neck gently. Take another breath like this. And then take your belly toward your thighs and fold. Send your knuckles toward the front of your space. Forehead may touch, it may not. Send the knuckles more overhead. Keep the buttocks heavy to the heels. Take another breath like this. And then you're going to roll up into seated, sweep the arms straight up overhead. Take a deep breath in. Cactus arms, exhale. Take a breath in, stay there more back bend. And then palms and elbows touch. Round your spine, interlace your fingers, straighten your arms, go up. Go left on the diagonal right away. And then go straight up as you breathe in. To the right, just one breath up. Go straight through the middle. And then take cactus arms to circle the hands behind you to interlace the fingers the other way from before. Knuckles down, chest lifts. Knuckles may get to the floor, they may not, but lift your sternum. Take another breath in. And then belly to the thighs, fold, send the knuckles overhead. Forehead may or may not ground. Take a breath like that. And a full exhalation. And then you'll roll back up into seated and just slide your hands forward and come up toward a down dog. Set your feet a little further back behind the blanket if there's one there. And then take your hips up and back and move around for a moment as you like. In the next couple of breaths, settle toward a stillness momentarily. Press your heels down, push your hands more down, and find a little lift at the front of the ribs. Now you're going to tuck your chin and slowly round yourself forward into a plank pose. Stay rounded for a moment, chin tucked and powerful legs really pushing into the ground. Take another breath like this, push strongly. And then you're just going to tap your knees down and take a cow spine. So arch the back, look up. You might point your toes, you don't necessarily have to. But open the chest, stay there another breath. And then you're going to go back to child's pose, hips towards your heels. That may be where you want to tuck your toes or point them as you prefer. But push your hands down, strong straight arms if possible. You're going to keep the chin tucked and come up into cat. So round, up and forward. Keep the arms straight, take the hips, pelvis to the floor first. And then bend the elbows on the way down, come right into cobra. So majority of your belly on the floor, shoulder blades pulling up and over the back of the body. If possible, the feet behind you stay pressing strongly down. The front of your pelvis heavy. Take another breath in here. And then through bent knees back to child's pose, hips to the heels. Keep your arms straight, cat pose, lift, rounded. Same thing, pelvis first to cobra, all the way to the belly. Stay and just take a breath in, heart forward. Through the knees, back to child's pose. Just the exhale, one more time. Inhale to cat. Pelvis first, roll to the belly. Stay in cobra, one breath in. Through the knees to child's pose, hips to the heels. Now come to tented fingers, heavy the tailbone, and let that help you pull yourself up to sit. Right on top of your heels, right back where you started. Fingertips behind you on either side of you. Push the fingers down and then lift the chest. Feel the front of the heart lift. Let me have your head. Push strongly into your hands and keep the collarbones really wide. Take another inhale breath. And then you're going to catch your knees and hollow. Round your spine completely. Turn your tailbone under, chin to your chest. Cat spine. Now you'll stand up on the shins. Arms reach up overhead. You're going to step the right foot forward and hold opposite elbows above your skull. So notice which form is in front if you can figure that out, and for the next time we'll switch, but lift your elbows up more. Find more left at the front of the pelvis. Take the back bend more toward the heart space. And find more lightness at the front of the hips. You're going to round your outer arms, let them go up. And then from there you'll come into cactus arms. Wide elbows, tilt the wrists a little back, elbows a little forward, and then lift your chest more. Take another breath in like this. And then you'll bring your palms and elbows together round, just like you did seated. Back your ribcage up. You will literally tuck your tail slightly. You should feel the back knee. Think of it pulling forward and lifting the front of the left pelvis a lot. Take another breath like this. Now you're going to interlace the fingers like you were when you were seated. Straighten your elbows and reach up. Then you're going to side bend to the right. So take the knuckles right, hug your right hip in a little, and make your arms sharper. Good, one more breath. Back knee thinks of pulling forward. As you breathe in, come up through vertical. And then you'll lower your fingers, frame your front foot. Tuck the back toes, straighten both legs to pyramid pose if possible. You'll push the floor away with your hands. You could be on fingers, you could put blocks there if you want, or you could take your hands on the inside of the foot. But hug the right hip in, and stretch the left heel further back. And then do 3 waves of your spine. Pull your heart forward and breathe in. And then round, drop your brain, soften your neck. Do it again. Inhale forward with the chest. Back thigh stays powerful. Exhale to round. Brain drops down one more time. Inhale, heart up. And then exhale, round your spine. You're going to bend your front knee deeply. Ground the palms up to down dog, simple as possible. Take a steady breath. Sigh empty through the mouth this time. If you're interested in staying empty, you're going to close your airway, tuck your chin, wave to plank without breath. When you get there, look forward, breathe in. Tap your knees, go to child's pose, hips to your heels. Cat is going to lift up, round it. Pelvis first, cobra. Stay just the inhale. Back to child's pose, hips to heels. You're going to keep moving. Slide your fingers right back behind you. Push them down. You'll lift your chest. One big breath in. Catch the knees. Round the spine, seated cat pose. Stand up on the shins, arms overhead. Left foot steps forward. Hold the other opposite elbow. Pull your elbows up. Find more lift at the front of your pelvis. And lift the top of your armpit chest. Okay? Good. Take another full breath. And you're going to release to cactus. So wide elbows. Take a moment. Let the back bend expand your chest more. Elbows forward. Take one more inhale breath. And then palms, elbows together, round the spine, hollow body. Elbows may or may not touch, but bring them in. Back knee, think of pulling forward. And if you've got a blanket, that's really why that's there, to help you with that. Take one more. You're going to interlace the fingers, the other pinky on top, straighten your elbows, and then side bend left. Keep energy right from the back foot, dragging forward. Straighten the arms more, and go more left. Good. You're going to come straight up through the middle, breathing in. Lower the fingertips, frame the front foot, straighten both knees to pyramid if that's possible. The back knee could stay down, you use blocks, hands inside the foot maybe. But send the left hip back, send the right heel back, and then wave the spine up on the breath in. And down, soften, round on the breath out. Twice more. Pull forward. Exhale, drop the brain down. Last time, compacting the hips into center. Exhale to round. Good, soften. You're going to bend the front knee deeply. And then down dog, simple, quietly as possible. Take a deep breath there. An empty sigh, optionally. Staying empty, roll to plank, chin to chest. When you get there, look forward, breathe in, regular plank pose. Tap your knees, child's pose, exhale, hips to the heels. Cat spine, go up, one breath. Pelvis first, cobra, exhale. Stay one breath in. Back to child's pose, hips to heels. Going to roll right up to sit, fingers sliding behind the toes. Take a breath in to open the chest. And then catch the knees, round the spine. One breath up. Stand on the shins, arms up. Hold opposite elbows, right foot steps forward. Take an inhale, go up more. Cactus arms, exhale. Breath in, accentuate the back bend. And then palms, elbows together, round the spine, interlace the fingers, go straight up, breathe in. Go to the right and breathe out. Go back to vertical, adding something this time. Go back to cactus arms, like when you were seated. Circle the hands behind, interlace, and the knuckles down, one big breath, and then belly on the thigh, fold over your front leg. Take an inhale there. And then release the fingers down as you exhale. Tuck the back toes, straighten both legs, and lengthen your spine. Fold as you exhale. You're going to bend the front knees, step forward, halfway lift. Empty through the mouth. If you can, stay empty and roll up to standing. When you get there, arms go way up, one big breath. Hold opposite elbows and take a moment. Lift the front of your pelvis up and send the buttock flesh down, and then start to back bend. He's going to press the pelvis forward. He's going to start to take the ribs back, the elbows back, but holding himself up really strongly with his low belly and with his glutes at the back. You might even thrust your pelvis more forward if it feels okay. Take another deep breath. Exhale completely. And then as you breathe in, go straight up, arms overhead. Fold, bend the knees as much as you like. Hands down, step your right foot back. And then down dog. Take a breath in. Steady exhale. Just breathe into plank this time, round forward. Tap the knees, child's pose, hips to the heels. Come up to cat, round up. Pelvis first, cobra. Stay and breathe in. Child's pose as your exhale, hips back. Roll right up to sit. Fingertips behind when you're ready. Take an inhale to lift your chest. And then catch the knees and round the spine. On the shins, arms go up. Opposite elbows, left foot steps. Take an inhale there. Cactus, exhale. Breath in, more back bend. Breath out, palms, elbows together. Interlace the fingers the other way. Straighten your arms. Go left, one breath out. Back to vertical, one breath in. Lower the fingers, so where the elbows have, that's right, hands behind your back, interlace your fingers. Thanks, Eric. Take your inhale here, and then fold, belly on your thigh, knuckles overhead. Stay one inhale breath. And then lower the fingers, exhale, tuck the back toes, straighten both legs. Pull your heart up as you inhale, and then round as you breathe out. You're gonna bend the knee and step forward, front of the mat, halfway lift. Empty sigh if possible. On empty, roll to standing. When the arms go up, you breathe in. Hold the other opposite elbow. Send the flesh of the buttocks down, pull the front of the hips up, and then take the pelvis forward a little and start to back bend from there. You don't have to go very far, but feel the front of your hips lifting, good. Your buttock flesh, your tailbone going down. And the next breath in, go straight up, arms overhead, just urdhva, and then full bend the knees. Step the left foot back. And then step to down dog. Take a deep breath in. Sigh or something. Slowly roll to plank pose, rounding forward. Tap the knees, child's pose, exhale. Cat, round up. Pelvis first, cobra. Stay for the inhale. Child's pose, hips to heels, exhale. Roll right up to sit, fingers behind. This time lift the hips as you lift the chest. Stay for the exhale, sigh if you want to. Take another inhale. And then sit, catch your knees and round your spine, hollow body. Take a deep breath like this. Full breath out. Now stand to the shins, reach the arms overhead. Step your right foot forward and just cactus your arms this time. Now, if possible, you've got that blanket under your back knee, hopefully. You're gonna see if you can bend your back knee and lift your heel towards your seat. So your hamstrings are going to, some of you freak out, and he's quite strong, so he'll be fine probably, but tilt the elbows a little forward, take more back bend toward the chest, and then lift the front pelvis. So that the low back lengthens, the left hamstrings, right glutes, low belly. Take another breath in like this, good. And then reach your arms up and put your foot down. Lower your fingers, frame your front foot. Straighten both legs, pyramid pose. Come up halfway. And then empty from here through your mouth. However you like, empty, and then staying empty, pull the heart up again. Feel the belly suction from here. When you need to breathe in, bend your knee. And then just step to down dog, simple as possible. Take a deep breath in. Sigh or something. Roll to plank, round forward, inhale. Knees down, child's pose, just the breath out. Cat in. Pelvis first to the floor, cobra. Stay for breath in. Child's pose, hips to heels, roll right up to sit. Fingertips behind, you're gonna take an inhale, hips and chest lift. And then sit and catch your knees and round your spine. Stand on your shins, arms go up. Left foot steps forward, straight to cactus arms this time. Take a breath, lift your frontal hips, and then start to lift your back foot if you can. Squeeze the heel toward the bum. Front of hips lifting, tailbone dropping. Lift your chest more, take your elbows forward and your wrists back. Take another breath if you're okay here. Good. You're gonna straighten your arms, put your foot down. And then put your hands down, pyramid, straighten both legs like before. You're gonna come up halfway. And then from there, empty if you can. If interesting to you, stay empty and lift your ribs. If you just had a big meal, probably not a great idea. Breathe in when you need to, bend the knee, and then step to down dog. Push your hands down strongly, take a breath, some kind of sound. And then you're gonna come forward into plank like earlier. And then tap your knees, child's pose. Come up as you breathe in, round your spine. And then pelvis first to cobra, and then we're gonna add on to this time. So if you were here the other day, we did this the other day. You're gonna keep your shoulders right where they are, press your knees down just this first time. Lift the low belly so you fill out the lower back, and then hover 6 inches to chaturanga, right in between your elbows or somewhere around there. Shoulders shouldn't have moved much. Lift your skull, look a little forward, take another breath. Yeah, now put your pelvis belly back down and keep your shoulders where they are, as much as you can. Yeah, keep your shoulders there, hover chaturanga. Yeah, and if he wants to, he can straighten his legs. If he's not feeling it right now, he doesn't have to. Now lower back to cobra. So pelvis down, shoulders stay right there. Good. One more time, hover chaturanga if possible, knees straight or not. Now push to plank pose. Good, and then go back to down dog. Take a moment. Push your hands down strongly. If you can, look in between your hands and start to walk your feet toward the front of your mat. Oh, that's not what I thought it was going to be. Come up toward the front of the mat. Set your feet hip distance or together, as you prefer for sun salutations. And then take your hands to hold your pelvis. So your fingers will be on the front, your thumbs will be at the back of your buttocks, and then lift up to halfway, so horizontal spine or so. A little bit of bend in the knees. For some of you, he feels good with straight legs today. Hug your outer buttock tips in. So where your thumbs are, manually pull in on your outer hips a little. Front of the ribs up, shoulder blades on the back. Now hinge, lead with your chest and stand. From there, keep the flesh of the buttocks pulling a little down. Just a little. Straight legs, arms can fall down by his hips. He's going to take a breath into Urdhva. So just arms reach up. Fold, keeping some of the tension around the outer hips. Come up halfway, long spine. And then step, or if you have a practice to hop, or however you want to get to chaturanga, simple as possible. Take the back bend of your choosing. And then from your belly, round your spine and lift yourself up. You're going to pause and push. Feel the outer ridges of your triceps wrapping slightly underneath of you, and then let your shoulders lift and push your pelvis up and back. Got these very defined triceps here. Just wrap them right underneath. Push. Take another breath like this. And then with your inhale breath, lift your heels. Look forward. Bend your knees deeply, step or lightly hop. Take halfway lift. You could even empty here as you fold. Staying empty, hinging is different. So if you want to play with it, come up on empty, hinging or rounding, however you want. Join the palms, take your exhalation. And then same thing again, he's going to do it on his own. Follow your breath. Step or hop as you like, or skip chaturanga. Push strongly down. Try to take at least 3 breaths in down dog. It's all about, for me, a balance between the flowy bits where you're moving on the breath, more beat-based, and then the holds and these postures where you put a little more emphasis on engagement. Whenever you're ready, you can step or hop forward. You're going to do one more on your own like that. So I'm just going to let him move. Each posture has a peak. You're there just at the edge of the breath. Good. Last time. So down dog, last time, unless you want to put your knees down, you're welcome to push your hands down, let your pelvis go way back. So next breath or two, you'll hop or step forward as you prefer. And then folding at the top of your mat, take the backs of your hands alongside your feet. And try to turn the tips of your elbows in toward center, toward your shins, and then bend them back toward your fingers. And then once you've got that, drop your head. And you could curl and spread your fingers a couple of times if you want to. If it feels good, go for it. And then when he's ready, he's going to release that, roll the wrists a little bit, however, and then roll up to standing or hinge up to standing as you prefer. When you're ready, settle in Tadasana, arms by the sides, flash of the buttocks pulling down, just a little, front of the hips lifting. And then chair pose. Arms go up alongside the ears, hips go low. Lift your shoulders, front ribs back slightly, and reaching up with your fingers. Take another breath in. You're going to fold as you exhale, round your spine. Come up halfway. And then step back to plank pose, or hop if you're feeling it. You can lower chaturanga, or you can skip it for right now. Back bend, round to lift up. You're going to stay for a breath in. Empty if you can through your mouth. On empty, you're going to tap your knees. You're going to stay empty as you put your knees down. When you get to cow spine, breathe in. And then I'm going to get him to lower his elbows as if he's coming to forearm plank, but not actually touch your elbows. Sorry, that was my bad. Hover your elbows just like a couple of centimeters off the floor again. Now squeeze your elbows in toward an imagined block. Lift your belly and ribs up a little bit. Could you tuck your toes? And then what if you also were hovering your knees? Elbows squeezing in, front of pelvis lifting. Take another breath. Now if he's okay here, he's going to put his elbows down the exact same second and then straighten the legs to dolphin pose.
Good. Send the pelvis back. Let the shoulders get behind the elbows on a more diagonal line, like a down dog with your elbows on the ground. And then he's going to lift the right leg. So dolphin split. Lift the ribs, relatively square hips toward the floor. Now look between your hands. And at home, if you feel like your wrists don't like this, you might not do this. If possible, he's going to straighten both arms at the same time and let his right leg lift even more to down dog split. Ribs up. Take a deep breath. And then bring the knee toward the chest. You'll step to your right thumb tip. Come right up to crescent lunge, arms overhead. Hold opposite elbows like earlier and lift your elbows, lift your chest, sides of your waist, and then back bend more. And you might start to straighten the back leg. You don't have to. But you'll notice that he hasn't completely lost the space of his low back. He's still using all that same information to find more length and more support. So that the back bend is really about the chest, the rib cage spine. Now, he's going to release to cactus arms, but he's going to straighten both legs for just a moment. Tilt the elbows forward, the wrists back a little. Now bend both knees. Keep the back knee really bendy and start to make a cat spine. You're going to bring your palms and elbows together. If possible, the back knee stays lifted. It's going to be really hard. You're going to start to magnetize back foot pulling to front foot pulling to back foot. So he's rounding his back. He's got his left hip flexors probably shaking at some point here. If it's too much, put your knee down. Hollow body. Pull the feet toward each other. Take one more deep breath. Okay, you're going to straighten both arms, both legs. Come right up out of it. Turn all your toes left. Parallel feet. Fingers on the floor out in front of you. Now, if possible, he's going to crawl his fingers out forward like he's in a down dog with ridiculously wide legs. You might even have to step your feet back if you want to do that comfortably, but you can play with the angle. And then keep the same action of the outer buttocks hugging slightly. You might straighten your legs more, you might not. And then explore bending one knee. And you can flex the straight leg foot or flatten, it's up to you. And then come to the center and just go the other way. Do that once more in both sides for yourself. And the next time that you're symmetrical, turn toward the front of your mat and just step to down dog, simple as possible, unless you really want a vinyasa, or actually, would you mind demoing a hop? So right foot steps just halfway down the mat, and then swing your back leg and spring off your bottom leg. If you're comfortable with this, if you happen to have a wall close by, that might be helpful. You don't have to do this at all. Good, straight arms, good. And then whenever you're ready, you can take a vinyasa, you can take a handstand moment for one, if you want to, but... Yeah, and that'll maybe happen someday. The floating chaturanga from handstand. Take a deep breath and down dog. Sigh empty if you're willing. On empty, tap your knees. When you get to cow, breathe in. And then take the elbow tips back and down, hover them above the floor just a tiny little bit. Stay in the elbow hover and then hover the knees. Tuck the toes, lift the knees, just a breath here, lift the ribs, and then put the elbows down, straighten the legs, dolphin. Push into your elbows. Pelvis goes back and up. Now lift the left leg. Keep the elbows pressing down. Use the lifting of the left leg to help you try to straighten both elbows. Down dog split. Nice work. Take a deep breath in. And then bring your knee to your belly and step forward. You're coming to crescent, so the arms go up overhead. Hold the other opposite elbow if you can remember. He's lifting front of his pelvis. Nicely. Would you mind spilling for a second? So don't do that. Lift frontal hips up a little bit. Lengthen tailbone down. Now start to straighten the back leg. Or maybe you don't straighten the back leg. But lift your elbows and feel the outer armpits, again, wrapping in. So there's a lift and a slight rotation. Last breath. He's going to release to cactus arms and just for a moment straighten both legs. So adjust the pelvis as you need, lift frontal hips, elbows forward, wrists back. Now bend both knees. Keep the back knee really bendy if you can. Bring your palms and elbows together. And then pull front foot to back foot to front. You'll feel it lifting the front of your hip if you really engage with that. You might shake. If you're really shaky, chill out a bit. If it's like not that challenging, keep pulling. Pull in and in with your low belly. Take one more breath like this if you're okay. And then you're going to straighten both legs. Come right up out of it, arms overhead, turn to the right. Parallel feet fold. Put your fingertips, crawl them forward if it feels okay. Out onto the wood in front of you, or whatever's out in front of you. Drop your heart a little and grip your feet. Legs may be straighter, hugging buttocks in a little. Now with next breath out, bend the right knee. And then center. When you're ready, you'll go the other way. And just do that both sides one more time. Good. The next time he comes to symmetry, he's going to turn back toward the front of his mat, ground his palm, step. If you want to hop, swing the back leg, spring off the bottom leg. Top leg really straight should help you. Yeah. Nice. And then whenever you're ready, take a flow or skip it as you're feeling it right now. Good. Back bend of your choosing. From the belly, downward facing dog. You're going to take a deep breath in. Sigh, maybe empty, maybe not. If you're feeling like that's enough empty work, you don't have to. Stay, tap your knees. You're going to come through cow pose. When you're ready, you'll breathe in. And then lower the elbows to hover. Tuck the toes, hover the knees. And stay for an exhale, hovering both if you can. Take a breath in. You'll put your elbows down, straighten your legs. Dolphin, proper. Take your right leg up. Straighten both elbows if you can. Stay for the inhale. Step quietly forward. Crescent, take the arms up overhead. Hold opposite elbows and back bend. Take a breath in to cactus arms. And then round, palms together, elbows together, hollow. Stay one breath, pull your feet together. Good, now straighten everything, adding something this time. You're gonna take your chest forward, you're coming toward warrior three. Hands on the front thigh. You're gonna hop the back foot in as needed and lift it when you can. Lift the chest. If you're not angled downward, hopefully you're going straight forward. Send your left foot straight back, and then do whatever you want with your arms. You can go back to cactus arms. If it's comfortable for him, I'm going to ask him to bend his left knee and face the foot to the ceiling. So he's doing that same thing he was doing in the lunge earlier, squeezing with the hamstrings. Lift the belly, lift the ribs, lift the chest. Good. Take one more cycle of breath if you're okay. Yeah, and you're going to straighten out your top leg, and you're going to bend your knee and step back. Put your hands around your front foot. And straighten both legs to pyramid pose. He could hop the back foot in and do the other pyramid if he wants to. If he likes the longer one, he might just stay there. But the shorter one just gives you something a little bit different. Keep the ridge of the outer back foot really grounded. Feel the root of the right thigh hugging in. And then let the brain drop if you can and release the neck if it's comfortable to round your spine that far. And when you're ready, you're going to rebend the knee, ground the palms, and step back to plank. You might take a vinyasa, you might just stay in down dog, or go to a child's pose for a moment if you want to. From the belly, go back, take a deep breath in. Just tap the knees as you exhale this time. Come right to cow as you breathe in, and then lower your elbows to hover. Tuck the toes, hover the knees if possible. Good, stay for one breath. You're going to tap the elbows at the same time, straighten the legs, dolphin, lift the left leg. Look forward, straighten both arms. Stay there, breathe in. Knee to chest, step forward. High lunge. Other opposite elbow, if you can remember, back bend a bit. Breath into cactus. And then round, hollow body, palms, elbows together. Stay one breath like that, pull your feet. Good, and then you're going to inhale, straighten everything. Tip the chest forward, come toward warrior three, whatever variation you used last time. So he's going to find the horizontal. He did cactus arms last time, and then he's going to optionally, well, he did last time. So bend the top knee, foot to the ceiling, hamstrings toward the ceiling. Left buttock still compacting. Chest nice and light. Really good. Good. Now inhale, straighten the back leg, and then just step back. Put your hands around your front foot, pyramid pose. You're going to shorten the stance and turn the back heel in like last time. And then round the spine, it feels good. Keep the back leg working in this shape. He's doing a really good job of that already, but if you really ground with the foot and activate even just the toes, spread them, see what changes. And then rebend the knee when you're ready. You'll ground the hands and step back to downward facing. Take a steady breath like this. And then, if possible, you're going to look between your hands. From down dog, you're going to try to do the elbow hover. So bring both elbows down low toward a hovering position, close to the floor, and then try straightening both arms. Try it twice more. Lower the elbows to hover. And then straighten the elbows completely. One more time, hover the elbows. If possible, you're going to pause there momentarily. Squeeze the elbows in, pull the front of the ribs up, take another breath, and then just straighten the arms. Tap the knees, right to cow. Child's pose, hips to your heels. Slide up to seated, all your fingertips behind you. Lift your chest, lift your pelvis if it feels good. And find a bit more extension through the spine. Maybe a little bit of opening at the fronts of the thighs if you're lifting the hips, which you don't have to do. But if you are, push your feet down and use your legs. And the next breath, he's going to sit, catch his knees, take a soft hollowing of the body, take a deep breath like this, and a full breath out. You're going to slide your hands forward, right to cow. Tuck the toes, down dog. Just lift the right leg. Step forward, simple as possible. You'll come up through crescent, arms overhead. Hold the elbows in back bend. Breathe into cactus. Breathe out, round the spine. Straighten everything, come right up. Warrior 3, tip forward, back leg lifts, hug your right hip in, take a deep breath like this, and then you're gonna tip your fingertips to the floor, put a little more bend in your right knee, and take, what's that called? Standing split. Fingertips come down, put a little more bend in the right knee, and then pull the right buttocks up and in. I would turn the left hip more square and really contain with the right hip. If you want to straighten the leg more, play with it. You can take your right hand to the back of your calf if you wanted to. You can drop your brain if it feels good for your neck. Do whatever you feel is interesting for you at this moment. And then if possible, you're going to lower your palms out in front of you, right at the edge of the mat, or maybe a little bit on the wood. And then he's going to lift his left leg as high as he can. He's going to bend the knee, like that same hamstring curl we've been doing. Send the knee up if you can. Look forward, push into your hands, straighten your arms. And you might do little flicks of your right foot as if you want to do a little hop toward a handstand. You can step further back if you want to, yeah. Maybe with the top leg staying bent. What my teacher likes to call a stag leg inversion. If it feels interesting, play with it a couple cycles. And if you don't need that right now, then don't do it. Even just putting weight in your hands and lifting the pelvis up high. Okay. And then when you're ready, step back. Take a moment in down dog. Push the floor away. If you want a vinyasa, take it. If you're feeling like staying in down dog a couple breaths would be helpful, then do that. Back bend of your choosing, downward facing from there. Lift your left leg. Step forward. High lunge, arms overhead. Opposite elbows, just back bend. You're going to breathe in cactus, and then you're going to round. One breath. Come up out of it, straighten everything, and then tip forward toward warrior 3. You're just going to be there for a moment. Hug your left hip in, you can leave your lifted leg straighter, and then start to tip your chest forward, put your hands down, a little more bend in the standing leg probably. Squarer hips toward the floor. And then whatever you want to do for a moment, he last time took his hands to the back of his calf muscle and hovered for a second. If you want to play with that, play with that. And then when you're ready, you'll set your hands out in front of you. Think handstand right from here. Send your right knee toward the ceiling. Bend it if it's possible. Do the stag leg or whatever you're feeling like you want, Eric. And then he can do the little flicks of the toes to hop, or he can open the thigh more or whatever you want. But push into the ground. Send your hips way up. Next word, lift your rib cage strongly. Good. And then he can play there for a moment. You can play with the wall if you want to. I'll give you some stuff at the wall momentarily though. Okay. So you can tap your knees whenever you want, take a seat or a child's pose. Eric can exit however he pleases. Take water. Okay, how are you feeling? Good. Good. Okay, so I'm gonna option this against the wall, just so that he can show you a couple things. He doesn't need the wall, but I'm gonna ask him to use it just so you can get something out of this potentially. So we're gonna take the mat and put it up against the baseboard, right, like let's say to the left of the painting. To the short edge of your mat to the wall. And then you're going to set your feet near the baseboard. You're going to face away from the wall. So he'll face the front of the mat. Toes, so you're going to turn around the other way. You'll be kneeling. And then he's going to lower his forearms relatively close to his knees. Come into a forearm position like dolphin pose. You may want to bring your elbows a little closer to your knees. And then you're going to start with your feet really close to the baseboard, or maybe right up against them. He's going to start with his feet on the floor and just straighten the legs into dolphin. So you're just in dolphin pose up against the wall. And then he'll step one foot right about the height of his pelvis, push into the wall, and then see if you can lift the second foot and just put them together. And then for now, try to straighten your legs more, send your hips more out over your elbows, and lift the mouth of the ribs up slightly. Now if you can stay here, push the floor away. really strongly, elbows down. And if he wants to, he can take one leg up. I don't recommend trying to get off the wall from here. He could probably do that, no problem. But you at home, just be gentle because obviously there's no wall the other direction. So push into the floor. The idea just being to get your shoulders over your elbows and maybe your pelvis over your elbows. Yeah. Okay, a couple of breaths if you're having fun with that. Tap the knees. Child's pose would be a nice place to go, so maybe arms back by the feet and forehead to the floor if that feels good for you right now. Okay, and then could we turn around and show them against the wall facing the other way?
Yeah.
Yeah, so turn around. You'll set your forearms again. You'll be in dolphin pose again, but now facing the other way. And probably, I'm going to ask him to come about 1.5 feet, maybe 2 feet away from the wall. He's got no problem getting up there, so he probably don't need the wall. But if you're more spacious away from the wall, you'll be less reliant on it. Now tuck your toes, straighten your legs, dolphin, and then he'll walk 1 foot halfway in. He'll do the same swinging and springing that we did in the sequence. And he probably won't need it, but I'm going to ask him to use the wall for one moment with this foot. Take the other leg into the center of the room, and then think of getting lighter at the wall, this foot moving the other way. So you might get a little bit of air time with split legs, and then you might bring them right together, and again, he's got no problem doing that. But if you are newer to this, split legs is going to be a lot easier to hold. You can take a few breaths there if you want to. Whenever you're ready to let it go, let it go. How are your shoulders?
Fine.
Good. Okay, so I'm going to let him decide. He could work further into other inversions, like he could go to handstand if he wants to. You could do pinch it again, maybe with no wall. I don't know that that's what he's looking like he wants, but so if you want more of that, do more of that. If you want to come onto your back, set up for back bending, for full wheel pose or bridge pose. If you've got blocks, or you could use pillows under the back of the pelvis for a supported bridge pose. So peak back bending, like wheel pose, or more chill back bending, whichever you feel would be better for you right now.
So, you want me to invert or?
Whatever you want to do. Yeah. So if you're back bending, it's a lot of the same actions in wheel pose that we talk about in handstand and in downward dog. Push into the ground. Use your legs. If people are still telling you not to use your glutes when you're in bridge pose, let that go. Ooh.
Almost.
Okay, so do you want a block for supported bridge?
Sure.
Okay, so if you don't have a block, right, that block is in use. The other one there? Great. If you don't have a block, you use a pillow or a couple of pillows, depending on how thick they are. You're going to place it under the back of the pelvis on whatever height you think is a good idea. And then you could take both legs straight forward, maybe one at a time, and see how it feels with one leg straight forward. Wider feels a little bit easier. Sometimes on the back of the pelvis, it's also a little less stretchy at the front of the hips. So if you brought them in narrower, you get something different. It's not right and wrong, just whatever feels comfortable for you. And then he could, we did this the other day, pull one leg in over the pelvis, kind of like a wind reliever, but with different application. So you can hold the shin, you could flex and point your long leg, or both legs, see how it feels. So try to be susceptible to gravity in your long leg, so that the pelvis is held up by the block and the leg is really dead weight. And then 5 to 8 breaths per side, so soon he'll probably be ready to switch. And then just as symmetrical as you can manage. So whatever you did with your long leg, flex, point the foot, or whatever felt good last time. So in the next few breaths, you should be able to come toward symmetry. So I'm going to suggest he takes a variation of legs up the wall. So if you have something under your hips, legs straight up toward the ceiling, as if legs up the wall, but without the wall. You've also just been upside down a bunch, so you don't necessarily have to come to this if you don't like to, but as much as possible, legs vertical. And no effort at all, hopefully holding them up. You could cushion the block if you wanted to with your towel or blanket. In the next few breaths, when he feels ready, he'll place his feet down. Take the block out from underneath. Set your feet wide apart and knock your knees together. And if you would, place your hands on your belly for a second and just rest. So you're giving space to the back of the pelvis and a relief to the front of the hips. And just allowing your spine to come back into a more neutral position after a bunch of deeper back bending. And then from here, if possible, he's going to keep his legs like that and place his palms right on the very tops of the thighs, so the heel of your hand is literally right against the crease of your hips. And then press into your thigh bones with your arms. Think like you want to straighten your elbows, you might not literally. And then keep your hands placed there, just soften what you're doing. So release all the effort, take a breath in. Empty if possible, as much as you can, through the mouth or through the teeth or whatever. On empty, he's going to do the pushing again into the thighs. On empty. If he can, he'll widen his ribs and take what we call a mock breath in, which will suck the belly more. And whenever he's ready, breathe in. Whenever you want to, take an extra breath in between, soft. You might try it one more time, breathe in a lot. And then get all the breath out. Empty, he's going to push. He might widen the ribs and create the suction that takes you a little bit closer to what would be called Uddiyana Bandha Kriya. The English will help you know more. But upward flying lock, whenever he's ready, you can breathe. And then start to tilt the knees left, right a few times. Did I leave you hanging there? So you can sway the knees back and forth a whole bunch of times. You'll notice he's turning his head opposite where his knees are going. And in the next few breaths, you'll come toward a centered position and pull your knees in over your hip sockets. Take your hands right to your kneecaps. And then do a little circle or pull your knees in closer to you or something that allows your spine to come back to something a little rounder. And then figure 4, right ankle, left thigh will be the easiest option for the majority of you. Left foot can be on the floor and you can be pressing right thigh open. You can use your hands or you can not use your hands. You could float your leg and do a no hands version floating, where you're pulling the left knee back and opening the right knee, or you could use your hands if you want to and do the passive variation. It's not right or wrong, just different experience. You could rock or stay still. You could take it toward Gomukhasana if you prefer, where you do like a half eagle leg cross. Breath is still full. You've got less of the ujjayi intensity, but still, at least especially on the exhale, slowing down a little more. In the next few breaths, when you're ready, you can release that. I would suggest him send a leg up and shake it, or something that feels good for you. And then just same thing, second side. So ankle to knee with the foot on the floor, ankle to knee with the legs hovering, with the hands interlaced, or he did the one with the arms cradling the shin. So any of those options that feel healthy for you. Rock or stay still. Make sure you're still attentive to your breath. In the next few cycles, can release from where you are and send the legs up and shake them, or pull them into your belly, or take happy baby, or if you need a little more time on the second side, go for it. And then, if possible, you'll come up to sit. So rock up in it, or if you need a moment longer there, do that. So come up toward a seated position, and you're going to set your feet flat and legs relatively long with a bend in the knees, and then you're going to take your hands and do the reverse rabbit. So hands between the shins and then crossed. Fingers hold opposite shins, wrists are crossed under the thighs, and you're going to back your chest up, tuck your chin, and hollow, like all those shapes you did a lot earlier. And feel the breath moving the space between the shoulder blades. Tuck your chin if you can and pull your ribs back. In the next breath or two, he'll come up and just switch the cross of the wrists, and then do the same thing on the other side. Hollow body, tailbone does literally tuck. You maybe think of pressing your shins out into your fingers. Like you want to pull your knees wide apart. They probably won't go anywhere, but. And then when you're ready, sit back up. Cross the arms the rest of the way. You're going to hold opposite elbows underneath your hamstrings, and then he can, if he wants to, wiggle the bum back and make the legs longer. You could, if you like, bring the blanket in and let the forearms have something to come down onto. If you have a bolster, you don't have to go there. And then let the brain drop once you're comfortable, so your head can hang unless your neck is not happy there. Put a block under it if you have one. If he wants to flex the feet toward him, he'll get more action, but it also might be a nice place to just let that go and just let it be a bit more passive. See if you can get to the top of your inhale breath. Let there be just a moment there, held, suspended. And then get to empty. And optionally stay empty briefly. Not catching Uddiyana Bandha really, just kind of playing with the retention. You'll notice different sensations. Top of inhale and bottom of exhale. Oh God. So, in the next few breaths, you're going to slowly begin to roll yourself upright toward a seat. Come up to sit, and as simply as possible, you'll make your way to a resting pose. So this could be simple Shavasana, you could do legs up the wall, you could sit instead. But find something that seems like it'll be comfortable for a few minutes. You can have a few conscious breaths to begin. And then over time, try to let the conscious breath let go. And it'll just kind of happen naturally if you just give yourself enough space to rest. If you have the time, stay with us, and I'll call you back in a few moments. I highly encourage you give it a few minutes. So if you have longer, I'll recommend you stay longer and you can just turn off the video. If you are still with us, start to bring your attention back to your breathing. Let the belly and ribs expand. Let the tongue move around the mouth. And over the next few breaths, you can make your way toward one side, so fetal position, or something similar. And then in the next few breaths, beyond that, start to make your way toward a seat. And you can take your hands to your lap, or to your heart, or something meaningful to you. But sit tall and take a couple deep breaths. Your skull in balance over top of the rest of you. Acknowledge your efforts. Thank you very much for practicing with us. I hope you have a wonderful evening. Thank you, Eric, for being the best student. Thank you all. Hope to see you soon. Oh, soon-ish. Oh, sorry.
Thanks. This bitch.
I know, right?
What? Fucking so loud over there. Hopefully the thing didn't pick it up, but
Oh, I'm sure it
oh, my thing died.
Oh.
Oh, the camera would have stopped. I'm sure it's still recording.
It's still recording. I think we got it on this though.